This is the story of the SeaQueen dresser. My dear husband decided to go over and help some very dear friend of ours, so he went over with the power washer to power wash their patio area. So my friends went for a walk. On their walk, they found a free dresser. So of course they thought of me. They sent me a text and asked me if I wanted the dresser, which normally my first response would be, yes, yes, yes. But I wanted to get a little more information before I had another piece of furniture hanging out in my house. I'm using water-based wood filler to fill some of the medium-sized cracks in the wood. I'm using masking tape to keep the wood glue from seeping through to the inside of the drawer. These clamps are great for holding the drawer together once the wood glue has been applied to the break in the drawer bottom. Oops, I forgot to take the small nails out. I asked them to send me some pictures. The dresser had 2 coats of latex paint on it at least, and it also had some hand-painted flowers on it. All of the drawers were cracked. I sent them back a text saying, no, don't bring it, it's okay. But by that time, I'd already gotten a picture of the dresser in the back of their car. It was the beginning of summer. I want to be able to spend as much time as I can outside, paddleboarding, and enjoying the summer. When my husband came home, he had that tall boy dresser in the back of the van. So I went out and took a look at it and I'm like, oh boy, where are we gonna put that thing? And I really don't like being pressured by my furniture. I'll show you what I mean. I did start feeling pressured by the furniture. So one day I decided I'm just gonna get rid of that dresser, I'm gonna give it away. So I put a listing up on OfferUp. My phone blew up. I must have had 30 responses within seconds. So that got me thinking, maybe I should keep the dresser. I'm working on a tall boy dresser. It's very old, I don't know how old. The drawers were in pretty bad shape, so I've had to do some repairs on them. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the inside. I'm gonna paint the sides. I'm going to use some amazing Iron Orchid Design stamps on the sides. I had to figure out what kind of paint, and I had a whole can of Bohemian Blue. Just going to get started. So give you guys a little peek at what I'm doing. A little bit of sanding, and then I'll use my Paint Pixie brushes. I'm giving the drawer a little mist of water to keep the paint moving. DIY paint is very highly pigmented, which gives great coverage. I don't always paint the insides of the drawers, but these had some staining. I painted the sides too. I'm going to use a first generation IOD stamp to give the sides a pretty pop. I'm using the color Queen Bee from the DIY paint line and an IOD brayer to apply the paint to the stamp. The drawers on this dresser were going too far in. I discovered these thin squares of wood are what keep the drawers from going in too far. So I needed to recreate some of those. I went to see Travis at my local Ace Hardware and told him what was up. He suggested these composite wood shims, which turned out to be a great option because I did not need to bust out my saw and cut them down. I was hoping to nail right through them, but they were too hard, so I had to drill a hole for the nail to go through. Success! It worked like a charm. So I did take it off of OfferUp and keep it. It sat there the whole summer. Fall came around, summer tapered off, finished traveling a little bit at the end of the summer. A couple of weeks ago, I finally started working on her. It took a lot of steps to get her done, but she turned out gorgeous, and hopefully she's going to be moving out this weekend. Because there were at least 2 coats of latex paint on her, the top coat being cream color, I wanted to make sure that none of that showed through. I needed to create a thick texture and I had the ocean in mind. I used 3 DIY paint colors, Bohemian Blue, Aviary, which is a green, and Mermaid Tail. I combined these with a product called Salt Wash, which creates lots of texture. I mixed each color about half-half paint to salt wash till it had the consistency of cake frosting. Next step, start blotting it on pretty thickly. It's a process, enjoy the ride. I'm using all 3 colors on the whole thing. The tutorials I've seen say to let it dry part way, then knock down the peaks. I did some sample boards and decided I wanted a little smoother finish, so I lightly smoothed, giving it very little dry time. I did use a blow dryer some of the time, actually a heat gun, and you need to be really careful with that because you can make the latex paint underneath bubble. Then I sanded it a little and applied Gravel Road, which is a light gray. It with DIY Big Talk and let it dry. When I woke up the next day, I did not like the paleness of the gray. I have a hard time with neutrals and light colors, but I try. I painted on several coats of Olden Gray Liquid Patina, which is a DIY top coat. It deepened the color and gave it a hard, buttery finish. Next, I'm applying the IOD transfer SeaQueen. It's a discontinued transfer, but there are a few retailers who still have some. It's the largest transfer I've applied so far. The texture of the finish and the serpentine shape of the dresser made it a bit of a challenge. After I applied it, I realized I should have laid the dresser down on its back. That would have made it a lot simpler. It turned out great though. Figure out where you want the transfer. The vinyl has grid lines to make it easy to center. I taped it into place and carefully removed the backing paper. Don't let the transfer stick to itself. Use the included plastic rubbing tool to rub the transfer until it releases onto the surface of your piece. When all of the transfer is on the piece, gently burnish it by rubbing softly with a cloth or the shiny side of the transfer backing to assure that all the details are firmly attached. I used a razor blade to cut in between the drawers. The SeaQueen did move to Snoqualmie a couple weeks after she was finished. I'm Autumn from Island Heart Vintage. Thanks for watching. Aloha.